Hi, hello, welcome to Eagle Media Works. Today we have an expert, Mr. Rajesh, who is an expert in bringing peak performance in individuals, teams, and experts. So let us have his expertise with respect to startups today. Welcome, Rajesh Garu.
Hey, thank you so much. Thanks for that intro.
So, Mr. Rajesh, why do someone needs to think about these startups or businesses? Basically, what is the difference between a startup and a business?
Wonderful. Thanks for that question. I would like to actually start saying this, right? Starting a business is like pursuing your passion. And this gives somebody to really pursue their passion and express themselves and also make a contribution. So for me, actually, in a way, starting a business is kind of a divine thing because it gives you an opportunity to really make that contribution out there. And there are so many opportunities out there just because as we continuously evolve, there are always new business opportunities. So if somebody is having an idea, if they want to bring in a life to that particular idea, that process is nothing but facilitated by business. Now, when you say startup, it is slightly different from business, but it's like you're about to start a business. So you need to be a lot more careful while you're actually talking about a startup. So, but otherwise, as a core fundamental for any business, whether it is a startup or a seasoned businessman, it is exactly the same. If that answers your question.
Yeah. Like, why do someone needs to start a business or a startup?
Yeah, I think that is pretty much that covers why. So if somebody has an idea that they want to bring into life, that is when they actually start thinking, okay, how can I make this a viable solution for them? The moment you say viable solution, we are already talking about how we can start a business, bring a shape to it, then you actually try, work out proof of concept, then you go into proof of business, and then you actually kind of see a business coming to life. So if somebody has a strong passion, I think they should definitely think starting a business. If they only have passion is enough, probably that is something that we can discuss as part of this conversation.
Yeah. So if it is such a good thing of starting a business, so why do someone or majority of startups sees the failures? And in continuation, I would also like to ask you regarding what are the three basic pillars or any fundamental pillars, maybe without which a startup would never start.
Thanks for bringing such an important point to this conversation. It's really very, very painful to see 50% of the businesses, when they start, within 5 years, they just disappear. And it's a painful fact.
Exactly.
Because somebody is going through this
more than
grind.
50 as well.
Yeah, more than 50, but I'm telling the statistics as such. Remaining 50% of that remaining businesses will go out in next 2 years. Now, it's very important that the entrepreneur should really take certain care before starting the business because you're going through a grind of 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, and then you realize, oh my God, this has failed. So it's better that people really understand that where do I belong? And maybe I think, if that is the fact of it, there are still the other businesses which are kind of becoming successful, they're becoming unicorns, all this is still possible. So if you actually understand and follow a very strong, foundation, definitely then, you can become successful. So what I like to give it is a formula called SMART. It's not exactly in the same sequence, but I would like to give this 5-step, very, very important formula. And if you want to really start a business or, becoming taking your dream of startup into life, I would say take these 5 elements into consideration even before you start the business. So SMART is that like SMART, right? So if you look into that, the first one is S. Is my business scalable? That is a very important question to ask because this is one of the most important element the startups fail to see right in the beginning. Which means if your business probably is solving a problem right now for next, say like 1 year, 2 years, you should really think. Because if the business is not scalable, you're gonna fail for sure. Means you should really look into can this business make an impact next 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years? What kind of solution that actually can be still validate the problem after 10 years? So this is a question everybody should ask. So this is one of the strongest pillar, I would say, to see, is my business idea, is it scalable or not? The second one, and most of the startups actually fail because of this, is adaptable. So is my business or is my solution is adaptable to the future needs? You might be thinking this is a solution right now, but with the market conditions, probably having a new competition coming or new technology coming in, you should ask yourself, is my business adaptable? Can I, bring the adaptability to this particular solution that I have right now? And the other one, I want to bring in this, people would be a little scared to talk. People kind of put their gut in front of this, but you need to understand is about the money. Do I have enough fund within my at least visibility? If this money, whether it can take me all the way till a positive cash flow can be generated within my business. And it's a life cycle, right? It's a part of the entire life cycle of the business. It's a part of the, I would say, maybe a project cycle. From the time I started till the time a positive cash flow is generated in my business. Is the fund enough? You might think, how do I actually kind of count? Look into every possible capital expense you want. What are the software you need to buy? What are the things that you really need to hire? Maybe something on rental. Is it the office space? Or what is the size of the team that you want to? So everything should be put into a paper or probably into a document to see, do I have enough funds or do I have visibility of the funds? Most likely, if you have the funds, fantastic. You don't have it, at least you should think, is it possible that I get money? So if you see, we already covered SMA, right? S is for scaling. Is my business scalable or not? M is for money. Do I have enough funds all the way till my business can generate a positive cash flow? 3 is adaptable. Is my business solution, which I'm starting right now, can it be adapted to future needs and future market conditions? And R comes, this is really important. If I say this is one of the strongest pillar, is research. You should actually do the research so thoroughly in the market that you should know everything about your market better than anybody else. The moment you are there, you actually kind of way ahead of everybody else. But if you have not done enough research, there is a possibility that your competition is going to get in and you are out of the business. And that's a very painful thing, right? The moment you actually start thinking, oh my God, my business is going, disappearing, it's painful. But if you have done enough research as a foundation for your startup, it's going to help you in all the ups and downs, whatever we call. When your business foundation is so strong, based on the research, based on the facts, obviously it is going to withstand all the market conditions. And the last one, and I'm sure many people understand, is team. T is team to win. It is not going to be you alone who is going to start the business and run the business. You have your team, probably starting from co-founders, or what kind of team that you need. Are you taking some people from college, or do you have that team composition and build a character for your business? That can only be done when you have the right team members. So create a character on how you envision a business, and all this has to be done right in the beginning, not at the end of it or when you are in the middle of it. See, when the flight is going, in the middle of the flight, you cannot do any repairs, but you can plan everything in such a way even before it takes off. And all these pillars that we are talking right now are going to put you in a position of handling every possible uncertainty even when you are flying. So look at what is the character of your organization, and then what kind of people will fit into it. Are they following these values that are demanded by the character of the organization? Then only you take it. I see most of the time when startups comes to me, they say, somebody is really interested, he likes my idea, I just want to go ahead and take him as a co-founder or a team member. But that's not enough, because That could be an emotional thing saying that, yeah, like this. But liking and really coming through this journey of uncertainties with you needs really a character. So I would say the SMART, these 5 elements, you should start looking right in the beginning, make this as a strongest pillars, which means you don't have clarity in any of them, I would say don't start the business. But you have clarity in all of this, which means for sure you have, at least you're assured of going through the journey till the time at least you can hit that, like I said, positive cash flow. So S, is my business scalable? M, money, do I have enough funds? A, is my business adaptable to the future market conditions? R, is that did I do enough research to say that my business can, kickstart, sustain and grow? And then T, do you have the team to win? So I believe these are the 5 strongest pillars everybody must really look into before they even think that, wow, I have an idea and I want to start. There has to be this process in between. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's a wonderful essence of your expertise. So one thing really, nowadays everyone fashionizing the word startup. So what are the exact directions one needs to follow? I mean to say, how could one assess himself before going into this direction of startup? Because in your experience, what kind of persons are being successful in these terms of startups?
Wow, this is very interesting. So this has to go beyond logical. That's what I can put it. See, when somebody is starting a business, they say it right, it's a lonely journey. A lot of challenges, you alone has to face them, and making decisions is part of your daily life. And unless you're mentally strong enough saying that, this is my idea, these are the SMART, when I saw all these SMART goals are met, and then this idea can come into life with all these things into consideration, and then I have the mental strength to carry forward all the way there. Because you can have some of the wonderful systems in place and everything you have, but you're not really strong enough to take you, because you are the driving force. When you're actually starting up, you are the driving force. So you think like this, right? Just like the example we shared just now, like a flight. You have a strong foundation because you went through the SMART, and then you're ready to take off. But then there is, commitment. Sorry to say, but because some people do not judge their commitment too seriously. What happens in a year or two, everything collapses. So what I would say is to ask yourself this very important question. Am I ready to dedicate next 5 years? It's like a baby, right? Especially in the initial stages, just look at a baby. It starts crawling. Then it starts slightly, trying to stand. And then, it starts walking. And then as you see a parenting journey, that baby takes care of you for the rest of your life. It could be son or daughter, whatever it is. So I want you to understand you are the pilot. So you are the pilot which the plane is taking off, and plane is your absolute startup that you have an idea. So I want you to understand that asking yourself if I'm committed enough for next 5 years. No matter what, it could be any situation. It could be a family situation, your marriage, your girlfriend, whatever it is. I have seen, being part of this startup ecosystem, I have seen people failing because of all these reasons. Father said, no, this is not going to work for you, and they gave up. If your commitment is strong enough, you might say, Dad, give me another 3 years. And somebody's girlfriend broke up. He went off to Himalayas, and there is nobody to really take care of this startup. You see, all these things are happening on a daily basis. So it's very important, do the soul search to ask yourself that are you ready to drive this amazing startup for next 5 to 10 years. Once you ask your question, when there is a biggest challenge that you're going to face within your startup, that is the time that you think, wow, I asked my that question at that time before starting, and then I said I'm committed. Naturally, you will start finding a solution, because Startup is all about giving a solution to the market, but really finding so many solutions within your journey of becoming, I would say, knowledgeable entrepreneur. I love that word, knowledgeable entrepreneur. So this brings the knowledge in fast track. So I would say this is very, very important to ask themselves.
How do asking themselves, how do they determine whether they can fit into this career of business or not? Starting a business, can they manage themselves? How do they find out? How can they find out?
That's a very good question. So what I would say is, once you ask yourself, you cannot define or you cannot decide. There are multiple ways you can do it. I've been part of Indian Angel Network, where we used to take people through a certain process. Means you have a business idea, you went through this SMART, you created a foundation to express others and seek for a mentor. See, mentor is a reflection of what you really want to do. So he will ask certain questions and understand your level of commitment. Because being a startup mentor, I know very clearly why it is so important to ask these questions right in the beginning instead of asking in the middle of your journey. Because you may be already in the middle of the mess, but figure out if you have somebody directly as a startup mentor, or if you can approach somebody who has done what you really want to do. Probably 5 years into the startup, successfully running, go ahead and ask them, hey, I've got this idea, I'm thinking that I would like to start, but I have a little doubt whether I can really sustain for next 5 years. Open it up. Or hire a mentor who is actually in that particular industry, who has become very successful. And it happens. See, once you actually open up yourself into that world, you actually understand that people are going to help you. So one, you ask and question yourself to see if you're really committed enough. Two, approach a mentor or somebody within an industry leader. I would like to really kind of seek some help to figure out where do I stand. So can you please help me? Or it's as simple as that. When you ask for help, it will be there. And it's buzzing in India right now. If you see, startup is buzzing, just like you said, it is a fashion word. In many ways, it could be a fashion word because everybody who has an idea is saying, hey, I want to start up. But once you have the foundation strong, you could be the next unicorn.
So that's perfect. So let us get into, if someone actually decided to start a business or a startup, so what exactly are the initial steps, like a business plan? Does a business plan is really important, or what exactly he needs to follow some crucial steps before starting a startup?
Oh, wow. This is a very, very good question, I would say. Business plan is really very important. And why is it important? You can keep talking anything everywhere. It's in the air and it cannot get registered. And so many kind of perspectives around what you're talking about an idea cannot be explored. So point is very, very simple. You need to put everything into a document, and that's what we call it as business plan. And what I would also recommend is to really explore the idea of applying. Now, if you want to apply as an startup in Indian Angel Network, the process is really strong. They will ask certain questions maybe you have not asked yourself. The moment you start answering, there will be a lot of questions that you would be asking yourself, and the answers you get probably through the research or by seeking some help, whatever it may be the case, the more you start answering, you actually get to understand if your business will work or not. And then apply. It's free. If you want to apply for an angel investment in any of these networks, there are so many platforms where even they take it. The process of getting into and getting shortlisted will put you into a place where your business plan really works or not, because you will be asking a lot of quality questions to yourself, and these processes like Indian Angel Network and so many other platforms, they have been helping so many hundreds and thousands of startups, which means you have that quality process to check yourself. So build a business plan to identify whether your idea can really become a successful business or not. Who are your competitors? right? What is the market potential you have? Who is your target audience? All these things should be a part of the business plan. When are you positively expecting a cash flow into your business? Which means till that time you're actually burning the capital, right? So all these questions, like we spoke about, all those points can reflect into your business plan. But the moment you write it down, it becomes a very, very strong force in your mind. It might come to a situation, it says, hey, you need at least, 1 crore amount of money as capital. Then you start asking, how much do I have? Yeah, I've got around 20 lakhs. So how much should I seek? When do I need to ask? See, all these are really part of the business plan, which gives you a strong guiding force to see where do you stand and where are you going, and start pitching to others. In that way, people ask you questions and answering them becomes part of your learning journey. So I would say without business plan, there is no way you can, kind of get or give clarity to either the investors or to the banks. For anybody, they'll ask, where is the business plan? Means when are you expected this business to start getting money back? So I would say it's such an important force.
So business plan decides a startup with success or not.
Maybe as an entrepreneur, it may not be, because most other people think, yeah, I have an idea, I know, I have a gut feeling it works. But it never works with anybody other than the entrepreneur. Whether you're talking about an investor or bank, or even if you want to pitch in any one of the platforms, they ask you business plan. So I would say it's really very important.
How do someone plan about the cash flow? Is it that important? Because usually traditional Indian businesses does not have enough the structure of cash flow. They usually go on the flow, general flow. But how do someone prepare this cash flow regarding startups?
Wow. I mean, this is such an interesting question. Again, you mentioned many of the Indian businesses, they do not give enough attention to cash flow. See, it's like this, right? What is oxygen for us is cash flow for a business. Unless you give a very clear understanding to every relevant team member, what is the cash flow and is it positive or negative? Because even I myself, when I started my journey as an entrepreneur, I was looking at profit. Wow, we are making profit. We are making 10% profit, 15% profit. But you will not understand the repercussions of cash flow unless you start seeing literally month on month how much is coming in, right? You may have really made a profit in terms of the numbers, but you did not collect the receivables. What happens there? And you did not receive all the receivables for next 3 months from 2 clients, which are really the biggest share within your revenue. Of course, you can show profits. What happens? You do not have cash in account. How are you going to pay these salaries? How are you going to pay to your vendors? How are you going to pay the bills for the electricity? So this is really very important that you create a cash flow statement. How much is coming in? How much is going out? Am I in positive or in negative? While, I love to really look at P&L every single day, but that does not give the complete health of the organization. So if you really look at, cash flow, that tells you very important question that, can I sustain my business next month, next year? If I need some money after 3 months, I would rather start preparing now. So you don't have that stress feeling. So I would say without cash flow and understanding the cash flow, I would say it is really one of the red alert. I would say don't even start the business. Cash flow is such a fundamental thing that you should become aware right from the day one.
Nice. By this, majority of businesses wouldn't take off as well.
Exact. And I would say it used to be very difficult 5 years or 10 years back in time. But today you have got plenty of the apps. Even the subscription is very, very low in cost. So one, the awareness of the importance of the cash flow. 2 is to just pick up one of the subscription in any of this and then see the cash flow. You can utilize it. And again, nowadays, even the startups, people are asking about the cash flow statement as well. When are you expecting to make a positive cash flow? Because investor is always looking into this. Okay, I'm investing, say like 20 lakhs as an angel investment. When can I expect this back?
It's a part of business plan as well.
Yeah. I would say add it, because not everybody asks for it, but when you add, the investor knows that you are a very, very seasoned kind of a businessman, which means you're giving importance to cash flow. They know that their interests are already covered within the business plan.
Nice. As we are talking about the individual things like business plan and the cash flow, which individual should bring out by himself, and we just talk about the competition, which is other side of the business, which is not in our hands. So how should we think of these competitions and the competitors which may be present in the market or about to come in the future? How should we address those competition or competitors?
Wow. I mean, I would say it's a kind of a taboo thing, because I help entrepreneurs all across the world. And when we ask this question, hey, who do you think your competitors are? They just don't want to answer. Hey, mine is very unique. I don't think there is anybody else who is doing that. Sorry, everything you ever want to do right now has already been done by somebody else. There could be a little bit kind of a, little here, little there, or even your business model might be exactly there already by somebody else. So accept the fact that you have competition. And this allows you to research whether the competitors, some are successful, some are not successful. Then you can ask that question whether which elements have become a successful journey for them, which elements have become unsuccessful for them, right? That process becomes such an important and enlightening process about your business, because a lot of facts can be easily found out from the competitors even before you start your business. In that way, I would say I love my competitors because they're giving me all these statistics, how I might fare or how I might really run the business 2 years, 3 years or 5 years down the line. So first, accept the fact that competitors are there. Second, do the research about that market so thoroughly that you're always ahead of somebody else. You should know about your market better than anybody else. You should know about your customer better than anybody else. And how? Just by the research. And how you can go, the answer of how you can stay yourself ahead of the competition is by reading the market so thoroughly that your competitor do not know. Because if your competitor knows more about the market or customer, then accept the fact that you might be out of the business anytime. Because at this moment, wealth is all about information. Information is so much of wealth that you can really generate millions and millions of the money just with the information itself. So I would say first is understanding that obviously competition is there, and two, do the research and work on the statistics so very well that you're ahead of your competition, and play your game, because business is so interesting because you play the game by knowing what is expected by the market. I would say it's such an important aspect of your startup journey.
Nice, Rajesh. Let us talk about the term target audience. So what exactly is this?
Wow. So target audience is a science by itself. So you should know your target audience so thoroughly, because you understand, right? You might say, my product is useful for everyone in the world. But this point has to be noted. If you target everyone, you reach no one. Means you cannot keep talking language of every person because everybody is in their own world. You need to really create a character for the target audience that you have. What is the geography? Which country or which specific state or which specific geographic people would be really interested in it? Number two, what is the age group that they would be really looking into? If you're talking about something related to fitness, what are the kind of age group that they really start thinking, okay, I need to become fitness, right? I need to become fit. One of this is they call it as midlife crisis, right? That is when people start thinking, oh my God, I'm shaping out, right? So you should really go into that level of detail. What is the age group that your target audience belongs to? And then go down, start asking what kind of thinking they have, what kind of thoughts they actually generate. if we are talking about fitness, why do they really think about fitness at all? One could be the fitness related to shape out. You can start talking about the language of what kind of thinking you get when your body is shaped out. So start thinking, is it the size of your tummy, or is it size of the also people who actually get into the functions, right? Especially when they really get into the marriage. That is one of the biggest audience who start thinking, for my marriage, I need to become fit. What kind of age group, geography, thinking, go to the level to understand every single thing about your audience. Once you narrow down, then this is exactly your business plan talks. The pictures you use should be relevant to them. What kind of pictures they envision when they talk about fitness? Are they looking at six pack, or are they looking at somebody in the gym, or they're actually kind of doing plank, or everything, the image. Second thing is about what kind of words they use. So does your business plan really covers that kind of copywriting aspects of it, right? What kind of words, the images, everything. Your business should reflect your target audience. But unless you know what is your target audience, nothing can connect to, people won't find relevant. See, only when I talk about what you accept as an information to your problem, then you start listening to it. The moment I don't talk, what is your mind thinking, you're already disconnected. And you know very well, nowadays, the audience only has the shortest, attention span right now. So better work on what is your target audience and how you can kind of go and find relevance through all these images, words and statistics. Anything that makes sense for them should be included in how you actually market to them. So yeah, target audience really brings in a lot of interesting perspective to the way that you can market to them.
So how could I find out, is there someone else who can answer questions related to my business?
Wonderful. I would say the best way is to hire a mentor. And what mentor does, he will act like an reflective mirror.
How to find out that mentor, whether he's capable or not, whether he holds an experience or not? How to find out that and how to reach to the mentor?
It's very simple. Number one, you look into talk to him or talk to her to find out if really, you find alignment or not at a mental level. Second is to see, have they done what you really want to do, right? The moment you have that industry connect also for them, okay, wonderful. Now, third is to see, how can I really get the best out of them, right? Once you actually, especially what I would say is, finding a mentor should be a process where you start seeing, can he or she act like a reflective mirror for me? I'm giving a thought, can she or he bounce back with the possible consequences, right? So I think these 3 steps should be good enough for people to find the right mentor.
Yeah, I think we have covered the 360 degrees of starting a startup. So let us discuss about the major failures of Indian startups. So that because majority of startups start with much enthusiasm, with much expectations, but where do they end up?
So I would like to cover both. The painful fact is that 97% of startups in India are failing. If that doesn't scare you, better understand, you can be part of this 97%. But I would rather want to put on the other side that there are 3% of the startups which are succeeding. Now you need to see, one is that what are they doing better than this rest of the 97%? And some of them are also becoming unicorns. What are they doing to really look into a journey of next 10-20 years and becoming a unicorn? $1 billion is a big thing, right? So I would say failures are just because of various elements we discussed so far, but I would like to focus on how they can become part of, how they can jump from this 97% to that 3% is by applying SMART. As we spoke about, the SMART framework can give you a strong foundation. And you need to be very honest in answering those questions. When we come into this SMART, as we said, we have to give honest answers before you go forward. So I would say I would like to focus on understanding how, as a startup ecosystem, being a startup ecosystem, I would always focus on how we can increase that 3% into 5, 7, 10, because one, that can bring a lot of solutions to the society. That's what is my biggest, I would say my biggest interest in encouraging entrepreneurship. But most important element I would like to see is we will become one of the strongest power in the world as India, because we are young. If you look at the population wise, of course, yes, we are one of the highest populated country, but our age is really, we are very, very young country. So I would say always look into that smart framework before you really start, and then see how you can think about those 3% of the people who are really becoming successful, who are able to attract the investments from the angel networks, or how they're actually presenting their business plan. Start looking in that direction. I'm sure you will have so many avenues to really understand whether you belong to 97 or 3%. If you do the real honest evaluation of yourself right now, if you are in 97%, start working on the smart framework and then start moving into those 3%. You naturally get the confidence when it is backed up by the data. So I wish all of you guys to be part of the 3% and expand that number, because we are doing really, really well in terms of startup because of the enthusiasm we have, just like you said. But we need to turn that enthusiasm into action in the right direction and become successful. So otherwise, maybe you can kind of just, message me where I actually kind of give you a framework where you can go ahead and start working on that. But most important thing is to ask yourself what it takes to become success.
Well, Rajesh, majority of the youngsters who usually start this business or startups, basically we were discussing about the scalability, which is the main cause of failures. So how do these youngsters who are coming out of colleges, how do they have the exposure of scalability? How do they assume or they research about the scalability? I think they don't have that much idea on how they can reach to the market, what is the potential of the market. How do they think out of scalability?
Yeah, sure. I think this is a very, very interesting question, because so first thing what people should look at is data is there. You need to be so committed that I would not accept my business plan as approved from my side unless I get the aspect of scalable very clearly, to as certain as possible. And how do you get? Number one is having the data. So, whatever is a product, just like we were talking about the fitness, right? Now, fitness, can it be scalable? Of course, yes. How do you know? Because as you see human tendency, they tend to get into that midlife crisis and always think about it, or just before the marriage, they always think about it. Now, you have to back that up by the data. How many of those people are really thinking that I want to become fit? So, if you can give a number to it, suddenly you have got the data, whether this can be scalable or not. Then you can ask yourself, how can you actually kind of cater to them? You can actually look into anything that you can sell. Of course, yes. It could be whey protein, or, the moment you ask, you Google. Now Google is giving everything that you want. In fact, ChatGPT is giving even more than you want. So start asking this question out there and get a number. When you have your target audience, for example, India, in this age group, how many people are really there? So between 30 to 40, let's say we have around maybe 40 million people, just for example. Out of this, how many of them are able to afford your program or a product? Then probably let's say 20 million. Now, once you have the 20 million data, how many of them are already being addressed by your competitors? You can see that. See, these are the numbers game that you are playing, backed up by the data. Can you get how many people are in between 30 to 40 years of age? Of course you can get. There is data out there, but you need to commit to yourself to an extent where you will not accept your business plan unless you get an idea whether it is scalable or not. So once you come to that numbers, you will see how many people can I cater in a year. Is it really scalable? Can I go up, right? So It's about the data. I would say it's all about the data. If somebody wants to define the scalability factor.
Yeah, I would also like to ask you what exactly how the traditional businesses and the startups versus the startups. What would you look at it?
In any specific aspect, when you say traditional businesses, are you referring to family businesses?
Yeah.
Or family
businesses versus a startup? How and an individual where he can get exact success or satisfaction, because satisfaction on par with startups is high, and running a traditional business, just carrying out it, continuing it, does not give enough satisfaction except money. So where do you look at it?
I think it's a very individual choice. I have got so many of people whom I know who are so happy in the family business, but they're just not only continuing it, but they're actually bringing innovation into the family business. So if you say the satisfaction is high, I think it's an individual choice. You can get so happy and fulfilling in both, because as I said, if your family business, I mean, both have some kinds of benefits and setbacks, but how you approach the business. Is your business is addressing the problem of your target audience? And what kind of new innovations can I bring to make sure that this customer is happy today, tomorrow, and going forward? I think that should be the thing. The moment you say, I'm going to add my value to the audience of my business, I think the element of whether it is a family business or startup takes off, because your center of your business is your customer. Now, probably, parents or grandparents of one of the family business have thought about their target audience at one time, 40 years before the time, 60 years before the time. But is it completely relevant, or can it be adapted? All these questions you can ask yourself, and then start innovating your family business. So in my opinion, while this is a separate debate by itself about benefits and setbacks of these two businesses. But what I would say is, as an entrepreneur, core of your business, your client, your customer, or potential customer. So I would say you always look into an area how our business is impacting positively to the client. I think satisfaction and fulfilling factor will be there in both.
And also I would like to ask you another interesting question regarding this marketing. So nowadays we assume, or we usually see, business success point is marketing, reaching out to the customers across the globe. So regarding these startups, how do they look at this marketing? Because they might be having a wonderful product, but without marketing, without making awareness of that product, success is not at all guaranteed. So how could they handle startups with minimum fundings? How could they manage this marketing kind of thing?
This is a very tricky question, I would say, but answer should be, so deeply looked into by the entrepreneur, because number one, marketing dynamics are changing rapidly, and marketing dynamics are changing so rapidly that the way marketing was done a decade back to now has changed. Best example, how many of you are on your mobile compared to 10 years back? Especially I'm talking about the advertisements. Where are you actually watching your advertisements? Maybe at one time in the movie theater. Now you are looking into your OTT. Now you are looking in your YouTube. So I would want all these entrepreneurs, the startups, to become aware what is the current statistics saying about which is most effective. One, which is most effective. Two, relevant to your industry. The moment you ask your question, for sure, it's going to be an expensive affair, but compared to 10 years back, if you want to put an ad in a theater, is so much more expensive compared to what we are going to do in, just simply with few, not even by minute percentage of what it happens in the YouTube or in the Facebook right now. So I would want you to really consider put this as part of the budget and plug that into the business plan. But if at all, if you think you do not have enough funds for that, there is a parallel thing, is content creation. You can start creating the content and distribute it organically. And I've seen so many of our clients and coaches who actually kind of put the content every single day. Of course, with a very clear-cut branding strategy, which has a very clear-cut understanding for the target audience. But I mean, that is possible right now, which was not possible 10 or 15 years back. So there is nothing to really kind of feel discouraged at all, whether you have fund or not. But probably it would take longer to market your product and get into the proof of business if you're going through the organic mode of creating content. Again, content has to be so much relevant to your product or service, and it has to be put into the respective platforms where your target audience is there. But ideally, if you can do the paid marketing, it's a lot more streamlined compared to before. And then all these platforms are pretty much available at a minute cost compared to before.
Fine, Rajesh, like any concluding remarks you would like to address the audience?
Of course. Actually, this whole conversation has been so interesting. I would like to say one thing, that entrepreneurship is not difficult. Entrepreneurship is simply different. So you just need to approach it differently. But once you approach differently, based on what it is needed from you, it is such an amazing journey. So if you're wishing to become a startup or an entrepreneur, it is definitely the right time, because the entire dynamics of the world are changing in terms of the technology, and then you can become one of the savior for the society. Everything is possible with entrepreneurship. I want to say, be there as an entrepreneur if that is your dream, but make sure to follow the SMART framework as we spoke, and then enjoy the process. Enjoy the process. I would like to say only one thing, irrespective of where you are in your entrepreneurial journey, is that, anything when you start something new, it is going to be very hard in the beginning, messy in the middle, gorgeous in the end. So aim for the, gorgeous end that you have as an organization, the level of impact you want to make, but also understand that it could be hard in the beginning, messy in the middle, but understand your commitment, go out there, express yourself, become that entrepreneur. So I would say, I would wish all of you a very, very massive success in 2023, and then make your dreams come true. So thank you so much once again, Durga Prasad, for actually inviting me here and share my thoughts with startup community.
Thank you. Thank you. So nice of you, Rajesh.
Like and subscribe Eagle Media Works.